The old called her Aliya, the whisperer. Younger voices, hushed and fearful, simply called her the whisperer. She lived alone, at the edge of Hollowbrook. Her cottage, nestled amongst ancient oaks, was as old as the whispers that clung to her. Aliya was beautiful, with eyes that held the wisdom of ages. Her long dark hair flowed like a river of night, framing a face that spoke of secrets and sorrow. But it was her gaze that drew you in, a gaze that seemed to pierce the veil between this world and the next. For Aliya possessed a gift, some would say a curse. She could speak to the dead. The villagers came to her with their grief and longing, their hopes and fears. They came seeking solace, answers, or perhaps just a moment's connection with those they had lost. They came to Aliya, the whisperer of Hollowbrook, and she listened. Beyond the village, shrouded in mist and legend, lay the Whispering Grove. Ancient trees, their branches gnarled and twisted, formed a canopy overhead, blotting out the sun. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. It was a place of stillness, of secrets whispered on the wind. A path, barely visible beneath a carpet of fallen leaves, wound its way through the heart of the grove. It led to a clearing where a circle of ancient stones stood sentinel. This was Aliya's sanctuary, the place where the veil between worlds thinned. Here, amidst the whispering trees and the silent stones, she communed with the dead. The villagers avoided the grove, their fear a palpable thing. They spoke of strange lights and whispered voices, of shadows that moved unseen. But Aliya felt no fear, only a sense of peace. This was her domain, a place where she could bridge the chasm between the living and the dead. When the moon reached its zenith and shadows danced in the grove, Aliya performed the ritual of the veil. Dressed in a robe as black as night, she would step into the circle of stones. Her voice, low and melodic, would weave ancient words, calling to those who lingered beyond. A thin wisp of smoke, fragrant with herbs and ancient magic, would rise from the incense burner at her feet. It curled and twisted, taking on shapes both familiar and strange. The air would grow cold, a whisper of another realm brushing against their own. And then they would come. The spirits of the departed, drawn to her call like moths to a flame. Some were shadows, barely discernible, while others retained a semblance of their former selves. They came to Aliya, seeking her help or simply drawn to the light of the living world. Aliya was no ordinary medium. She was a conduit, a bridge between the living and the dead. Through her, the spirits could make their desires known, their voices heard once more. But such power came at a price. For every message delivered, for every secret revealed, a bargain had to be struck. Some spirits sought only peace, their requests simple and heartfelt. A message to a loved one, a final goodbye whispered on the wind. Others, consumed by regret or driven by darker desires, demanded more. Their bargains were often dangerous, their prices steep. Aliya weighed each request carefully, aware of the delicate balance she maintained. She knew the risks, both to herself and to those who sought her out. But she could not turn away from those in need, even if it meant facing the darkness that lurked beneath the veil. Kiran, a young man with haunted eyes and a heart heavy with guilt, sought Aliya out one chilly autumn evening. He had heard whispers of her abilities, of the bargains she struck with the dead. He came seeking forgiveness, a chance to right a terrible wrong. His sister Moira had drowned in the river. It was an accident, a moment of carelessness that had snatched away her young life. But Kiran blamed himself. He had been supposed to be watching her, protecting her. Now he was tormented by guilt and the chilling silence of her absence. "Let me speak to her," he begged, his voice hoarse with despair. "Just once, let me tell her how sorry I am." Aliya listened, her heart aching for his pain. She knew the price would be high, but how could she refuse such a desperate plea? That night, beneath the watchful eyes of the ancient trees, Aliya summoned Moira's spirit. It emerged from the shadows, a wisp of mist taking on the shape of the young girl. Her eyes, wide and luminous, held no accusation, only a profound sadness. Kieran fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He poured out his grief, his guilt, his desperate need for forgiveness. Moira listened silently, her spectral hand hovering over his head. The air grew heavy, charged with the weight of their shared sorrow. Aliya watched, her own heart heavy as the bargain was struck. Kieran would have his forgiveness, but the price would be his peace of mind. The whispers of Aliya's abilities reached the ears of a grieving mother, Eleanor, whose young daughter, Lily, had been taken by a sudden illness. Consumed by grief, Eleanor sought solace in the possibility of one last conversation, one last embrace. Eleanor arrived at Aliya's cottage, clutching a worn doll, Lily's favorite. Her eyes, red-rimmed and filled with unshed tears, held a desperate hope. She pleaded with Aliya, offering anything, everything, for just a moment with her lost child. Aliya, her heart heavy with compassion, agreed. She knew the risks, the potential for heartbreak, but she also understood the profound need for closure. That night, beneath the veil of midnight, they summoned Lily's spirit. Section 8. The Weight of Whispers. Lily's spirit appeared, a radiant presence bathed in soft, ethereal light. She reached for her mother, her tiny hand passing through Eleanor's grasp. Tears streamed down Eleanor's face as she embraced the empty air, the weight of her loss crushing. Lily's voice, a tinkling chime, echoed through the clearing. She spoke of peace, of her love for her mother, of her journey beyond the veil. Eleanor listened, her heart both breaking and healing. The bargain, however, was not without its cost. Eleanor, forever changed by her glimpse beyond the veil, carried the weight of her grief with her, a constant reminder of her loss. Section 9. A Gift and a Curse. Aliya's ability was a gift, a burden and a curse. It allowed her to ease the pain of the living and guide the lost souls of the dead, but it also isolated her, setting her apart from the world she inhabited. She walked a lonely path, forever caught between two realms. The villagers both revered and feared her. They sought her help, yet whispered about her behind cupped hands. They called her a witch, a sorceress, a dealer in dark magic. But Aliya remained unchanged, her only desire to help those in need, for she knew the true cost of her gift. It was not the whispers of the villagers, nor the bargains she struck with the dead. It was the constant presence of the other side, the constant awareness of the thin veil that separated the living from the dead. Section 10. The Final Bargain. One stormy night, as thunder shook the heavens and lightning illuminated the sky, a stranger arrived at Aliya's cottage. He was tall and imposing, his features hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat. His eyes, when they met hers, were cold and calculating. He offered Aliya a bargain, a chance to relinquish her gift, to sever the ties that bound her to the spirit world. In exchange, he would grant her a life free from whispers, a life of peace and anonymity. Aliya hesitated. The offer was tempting, but at what cost? To turn her back on her gift felt like a betrayal, an abandonment of those who needed her. Yet the allure of a normal life, a life without the burden of the other side, was powerful. Section 11. A Whisper on the Wind. In the end, Aliya made her choice. She refused the stranger's bargain, choosing to embrace her destiny as the whisperer of Hollowbrook. The stranger departed, his final words a chilling prophecy. "The whispers will never cease," he warned, his voice a low growl. "They will cling to you, haunt you until the day you draw your final breath. And then they will claim you as their own." And so Aliya remained, a solitary figure in the shadow of the Whispering Grove. She continued to listen to the whispers of the dead, to bridge the gap between worlds and to bear the weight of her gift. For she knew that even in the face of darkness, even in the face of fear, there was always hope. And hope, she believed, was worth fighting for.